Hello guys, welcome back to Titech Hub, and in this tutorial, Excel formulas and functions for beginners, we will learn basic calculations in Microsoft Excel, which is our part 2 of our beginner series. Free Excel practice file in the description, feel free to go and practice. So in part 1, we covered the basics of Excel, that is the interface, formatting, and also did a little navigation. So in today's video, we will start working with the formulas and functions as we enjoy the real fun of Excel. So let's get started. Still on the same workbook we were previously, I'm going to introduce something to add more on how to navigate through a workbook. So in our last video, we talked about this area here and said it's called a worksheet, meaning a workbook has a worksheet within, and this worksheet area is labeled at the bottom here as sheet 1, which you can edit by double clicking on it and give it the name you want. So I'm gonna give mine the name introduction. Then from there I'll press enter to apply. So just as the books we use, an Excel workbook is made of more than one worksheet, which at this moment is not visible. And to make it visible or to add another worksheet, you just come and click on this plus icon here and a second worksheet will appear. So with that, you can double click on the name and change it to your preferred one. So I'm gonna name it formulas and functions. Then from there, you can add more worksheets if you want, depending on how you want to arrange your work. From there, you can click on the names of the worksheets to navigate between the sheets, or you can just use Control Page Up and Control Page Down. So I'll go back to this new worksheet, formulas and functions, and I'm gonna click on this first cell and type my column titles, which are item, then price, quantity, and total. Then give me some few minutes to fill this table. And now we have created a table that we will use for our calculations, where we have the item name, the price of the item, the quantity of the item, and also the total, which is where we are going to perform our calculations. So as we introduce our first basic formula, click on this cell to calculate the total price of the first item, which will be the price multiplied by the quantity. Note this down. Anytime you want to calculate something in Excel, always start with an equal sign. Otherwise, Excel won't be able to calculate anything. So starting with an equal sign, I'm going to select the quantity of the item, then multiply it by the price of the item. So we use an asterisk symbol to represent multiplication in Excel. Then just press enter to multiply or to calculate the total. Then use the autofill handle to copy the formula down. So that's what we call a formula, which is basically a custom calculation in Excel where we use symbols like asterisk, addition, subtraction, division, and many others. Next, let's calculate the total of all items. So I'll click on this cell to introduce our first basic function in Excel. So starting with an equal sign, I'll type the word sum, open parenthesis, then select the total range, then close parenthesis and press enter. Now you have the total of all your totals. So this function simply sums up values, and it's important when calculating many values or a list of numbers. Therefore, it's quick and reliable. So instead of calculating manually using addition, this one is a lifesaver. Next, let's find the average price, which is basically the total cost of all items divided by the number of items. So to calculate the total cost of all items, starting with an equal sign in this cell, select the price range. Starting with an equal sign, type the word sum and then come and select the price range. Then from there, you close the parenthesis and press enter. And now you have the total cost of your products. Now that you have the total cost of all your items, let's calculate the average. So we'll come on this cell and starting with an equal sign, select the total cost of your products divided by, then manually count the number of your items, which is 4 in our case. Then just press enter to get your average cost. But there's a simpler way in which I'll introduce our second function, which is the average function. So just as the name suggests, I'll click on this cell, then starting with an equal sign, I'll type the word average. Then I'll select on the options to apply the open parenthesis automatically. Then from there, I'm going to select the price range and press enter. Just like that, you get the same result. So this one is more fast, and it simply means that even though the items had different prices, on average each item cost this amount. Next, let's find the cheapest and the most expensive item, and in this case we're going to use the functions min and max. So min standing for minimum and max for maximum. So to find the cheapest item, I'll come on this cell and starting with an equal sign, I'll type the word min, then select from the options to apply the open parenthesis automatically. Then from there, I'll select the price range and then press enter. So this formula finds the cheapest item. And for the most expensive one, I'll click on this cell and starting with an equal sign, I'll type the word max, then select from the options to apply the open parenthesis automatically. Then I'll select the price range and press enter. So this be the most expensive item. So as you've seen, these two functions are good and great for comparison. Next, let's look at count, counter, and count blank functions, which are helpful when working with lists. For example, to count how many items have their prices recorded, so we'll come in this cell and starting with an equal sign, type the word count and select it, then go and select the price range and press enter. So this counts how many products have their prices recorded on this list. And note this down, the count function counts values only. So if you had a cell here, for example, this one, maybe I'll change it to none, Excel will ignore it and the value of the result will change. Meaning if you used the first column as your range, the value will be 0. Therefore, it's good to make sure you choose the right function and the range carefully. Next is the counter function, and this counts the non-empty cells. So whether the cell has a value, a text, or a date, the function will count it. Therefore, it's good to use it when confirming maybe if all the products are listed in the table. For example, in our case, I'll type in this cell starting with an equal sign, then type the word count R, then select it. Then from there, I'll select the item column or item range and press enter. So this will help us know what product is not listed in case there is, depending on the list we are comparing with. So next is the count blank. And this function only counts the empty cells. For example, in this cell, starting with an equal sign, I'll type the word count blank. Then I'll go and select this range and extend it to this cell. Then press enter, and the results tells us that the function has counted only the blank cells. Therefore, these three are so important for checking missing data or survey responses. Next, I'll select and copy this range by pressing Ctrl C and paste it on this cell by pressing Ctrl V. Then on this cell down here, I want to introduce another quick shortcut. So if you want to sum up your list more faster, though it's only flexible when the data is aligned on a straight row or a column and not advised on complex data. So with this cell selected, I'll go to the Home tab, and under the Editing group, I'll click on this icon, Auto Sum. And automatically Excel calculates the total. So it's quick, and use it maybe when calculating a neat and well-aligned range. Next, by default, Excel uses relative references, like in our case. If I double click on this cell here to highlight the formula, B2 is the relative reference, and when we drag the formula down, that changes on each row. But there come a time when you want to refer on a specific cell all through, and this is where we include dollar signs. For example, let's expand our table to include tax, but first let me add a tax rate above here and label it tax rate. And our tax at this point is 0.16, representing 16%. Then I'll add a column for total with tax. Then to calculate our total with tax together, I'll come in this cell, and starting with an equal sign, I'll select this cell on the total column. Then I'll multiply it by the tax rate, which is basically 1 to represent 100 plus our tax rate, which is 0.16. Then I'll close the parenthesis and press enter. Then I'll use the autofill handle to copy the formula down. And now we have our total with tax. But I want us to confirm something about the reference. So going back to our first cell or our first formula, the reference is okay. Then it changed as we moved down. And since we are referring to this cell, which is our tax rate, we lock it using the dollar signs so that all the rows in the total column refers to it. So I'll double click on the first cell to highlight the formula. Then I'll select this part of the formula, which is our reference. Then I'll add a dollar sign before the column letter and before the row number, or just click F4 to apply them automatically. Then press enter. From there, use the autofill handle again and copy the formula down. Now, if you go back and confirm this, our cell reference remains the same. Therefore, a reference like this, we call it an absolute reference. And now, you've just learned the difference between relative and absolute reference. And also, you've learned how to use formulas and functions in Excel. And in the next part, we will learn how to organize and filter data, create drop-downs, and also manage lists. So if this helped you, don't forget to like the button, subscribe, and